let's just talk about what it is.
This app is for the common user that has technical experience with just how an app works in general, to be able to perform maintenance on any kind of object that needs to be performed. For our instance, we're replacing a washer on a bolt and repairing a flashlight, but the same technique, the little 2D paper we have can be used for any kind of circuit boards you have in a factory. The box can be any kind of object, which in this IDEO we're using as an oil pan kind of thing. But yeah, basically just for anybody to be able to perform maintenance using augmented reality as instructions. So if you want to go ahead and start up the app.
Started.
No, it's,
You're recording if you want.
Alright, so this is the home page. It has 4 different categories because if you're this is for government projects. You have your regular maintenance and you have your emergency maintenance. Regulars being something that you're continuously going to have to do. You know, you have to replace gaskets, you have to replace tires when they wear down. Emergency being you have a tear in the fuel lines. You need to replace those fuel lines. So we have those broken up to those categories. And within the emergency and regular, we have electrical and mechanical, just being 2 different types. You know, as the project grew, they could continue adding, but this was just what we had to work with. So let's go ahead and click on, let's see, regular scheduled electrical maintenance. All right. So then it goes to just your category screen, and within that category, all of your electrical regular scheduled projects you need or jobs you need to do would be in there. So the user can decide which one he wants to go with. We're going to install batteries into the flashlight. For this one, we just have a piece of paper to show how we really got started with the AR part. So you can go ahead and get into it. So here, granted it's just a piece of paper, but it can also be the idea of a circuit board and you're working on circuits, you know. It depends on what you're doing. So right here, it's pointing to the tail cap of it and putting words on the paper saying tail cap. Up at top it has directions saying unscrew the tail cap to expose the battery compartment. So the whole idea here is it tells you what to do up top, it shows you what it's talking about, and you can perform that action. So we unscrew the tail cap. Can you go to the next scene? So this progress bar shows that the first task is done. Go ahead and hit the refresh button. Sometimes the AR doesn't work as ideal as we'd hope. Okay, all right. So also this has to deal with, you know, how good your camera is and all that. But so here it's saying flashlight pointing to the arrow to the tail cap, remove batteries, and kind of the arrow moving the batteries out of the flashlight compartment. So we don't really understand what's going on, so let's call an expert to get better feedback. So over here we have the call expert button, and the reason before we push the confirm, the reason for this isn't a free function. You're about to pay a pretty heavy fee to get expert help on removing batteries from a flashlight, you know. So you're gonna want to confirm that before you get charged for it. So go ahead and confirm it so we can get the expert. Now we just have this popped up because that wasn't the main functionality that we were going for, or the sponsor was going for. It was mainly the AR, but this just shows that you can have the call expert there and you can just see him on the desktop or wherever he's calling you from. And you can tell him, he can see your screen. That's the main functionality, him being able to see your screen. And he can explain what's going on, what you need to do in case you can't really figure it out on your own. So he tells us that, but we're already paying for them. We might as well keep them, right? No reason to hang it up. We're paying for them. So let's go to the next scene. All right, and it tells us to insert the 3 AAA batteries into
Battery insert.
Battery insert. All right. So this is just imagine the flashlight upside down. You're putting it in there. All right. Okay. So it's pointing out the batteries, pointing out that. Now we're feeling like we're kind of done for calling the expert. Hey, thank you for your time. Let's hang up. Just, you know, this is just to show that the expert can stay from screen to screen, basically. But, all right, so we know that. Let's go to the next scene. We did the task. These are all basically, you know, just walking through step by step with the progress bar, continuing to reinstall batteries, insert them into the compartment. Now that you have them in the insert, put them into the compartment. Alright, let's go to the next one. Alright, now that we have them into the compartment, we need to put the tail cap on there as it says. And we do that. And as you see up here, it has a check mark rather than a next scene because we're at the last stage of the job. So go ahead and finish that by checking the mark. Are you sure you want to complete the job? The reason for this is, do you want to, say you forgot a step or you want to go back, you don't want to have to reload the whole scene. Because ideally this isn't going to load this fast. We only have 5 tasks, but if you're tearing apart an engine, you're going to have a lot of tasks coming in. You don't want to reload all that. So go ahead and say we're done with the job, so complete it. And now we're back to the home page. Now let's go to the washer one. So if we go to regular schedule maintenance, go to washer. We can go right back, say if we hit the wrong one, we can go back to the compartment or the category list in case we went into the wrong one. But you can choose to replace APU, wherever, but let's go to replace washer again, just show that functionality. Alright, so here we're just using the Ziploc box, so you can focus it better. So here, all this is doing is detecting the overall box. So imagine this being your oil pan underneath your car, for instance. It's not detecting that that's where the bolt is. All it can realize is that is an oil pan, so your bolt should be here for draining the oil or replacing the water. You need to take that bolt out from that area. So we unscrew the bolt. Push that out of there, set it down. You can still call that if you want to. These other icons also work. We also have other things. We didn't get to implement a bunch of AR, so these are just sample tasks. So do the sample task action and just show things. It doesn't really do much to it. Even if you go to the next scene, it doesn't show anything. It's just something we put up there just so the button actually shows it works. That's basically all we have to show. And any questions? Yeah, this looks like a really hard project.
Unity before this?
No. Very minimum from taking his game dev class, but that has nothing to do with the AR. Is
I would say you had to use.
different
I thought you had to use Euphoria, and you dealt with. So, my last company, Optic 4D, that was our starting AR framework, and I'm sure you guys realize the limitations that thing
Oh,
had.
very, very limited.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're not bringing an engine in here.
Right. Well, also, I mean, the lights definitely affect
Yes, it does as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I have to give you props because what y'all basically made was like basically like, you know, that was our company's job to make this application, and you definitely understood the struggles of what we went through. So.
Yeah, this also was when the sponsor originally came. She ain't here tonight, but it was meant to be a project she could take straight to the government, and she realized that's not going to happen. So now it's basically just a prototype that she can go and try to get funding for.
Still in charge of giving her some more feedback, I would, instead of using Euphoria, try using machine learning.
Yeah, I told her from the get-go, like for the project's sake, we needed to, you know, have something to show, but I told her she needed a team just to do object detection, a team to do 3D modeling, a team to do all the necessary steps. Having one team do all of it, yes, Euphoria is amazing to get a simple little prototype like this, but you're not having something you would sell to hopefully hopefully nobody would buy that, you know.
Well, hold on now. I'm selling it.
Speak to my friend here if you want to buy it, you know.
Yeah. No. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
What's the next step?
For them, they would need, like I was saying, they would need a whole nother team to focus in just machine learning, to focus in 3D modeling, art, because you have to go in and detect every individual object, and it's not that simple to do. You need a team just for detection. Then what are you detecting it for, you know? So, for instance, if you're replacing a tire, you need to indicate that's a tire, you know? Yeah, you could use an arrow, but what if the company wants a tire to be displayed rotating on top of the tire? So now you need to go get a modeling team to go develop that tire. Her overall expectations was for the government, basically military, to be able to send a worker out with the tablet, an iOS tablet. That was their big key. It had to be iOS, didn't be Android or Windows. It had to be iOS. So for them to check out a tablet with this software on there, go out to the job site, click on the job they needed to do, and perform that job with little to, you know, moderate experience. You know, mainly just knowing how to operate the app. That was the main aspect, for you to go change your oil if you don't know how to change it.
You know, there's an open source software called Darknet that uses image recognition that could.
Yeah, Darknet,
Darknet
Yellow.
I'm aware of.
It's very hard to set up.
Oh, really?
Not only that, they also only detect certain objects. Like they don't. You would still have to take their software and train it for what you want. You know, they're not going to have. They have like your normal stuff the company's not going to want. If you want to replace a bullet in a drip pan, you need to train it to detect the drip pan. It still doesn't have that functionality. It's great for detecting phones, water bottles, faces. So is OpenCV at that point. You know, like there's a lot of software out like that. What she wanted was something more unique, which, you know.
Well,
it
very
would take
specific for
yeah.
Yeah.
And well, so one of the things that I had to do for a client was they want to do object recognition, but they wanted like very specific objects and specific things. So one of the things that we utilized was using 3D models that essentially train Darknet or train TensorFlow and all that stuff. So if you do continue to work on this project or you decide to run into this in the future, that's one method that you can try then.
Yeah.
It's definitely something people do. I work for an oil and gas OEM. We actually have like this exact app that runs on Google Glasses. So you can like use it to repair like BOPs, shaker screens, and all kinds of stuff on the oil field. So, there's like a whole, it's like 5 teams who work on it.
Hey, even the professor suggested to her to go with using glasses rather than a tablet, but because of they're trying to market towards DoD, it had to be for iOS because of legal restrictions.
Compliance, guys,
Yeah,
compliance.
Compliance is one of those things that'll kill ventures like this for glass design already.
Any other questions? Okay.
Could you just remind me of your project title so I can write it down?
AR maintenance. Hey, the Shipcom AR maintenance. There was
Shipcom arm.
That was the name of our app, which is ARM for augmented reality maintenance.
Other questions?
Are we done?
Thank you, Team Yellow. Appreciate it.